It's John Gadget. He loves his gadget.
It's time to sit back, strap in, and throw it on cruise control. This is the RV with John and Kathy Logan.
Hello, happy campers.
Hey!
Studio audience here. I want to welcome those of you listening to the podcast. Show number 390, sponsored by Rad Power Bikes. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, sponsored by Rad Power Bikes. We're very happy to have them on board. And we've got a whole crowd of folks at the Living the RV Dream gathering that we've been talking about for the last 10 months or thereabouts. So we'd love to have you guys here. And you're going to be stars tonight because we're going to ask questions if you don't ask us. I've given you plenty of time to take up questions. Before we do this, if you move around your chairs, well, either of these guys are on the recording.
So you say, well, that's nice. That was neat. We do have one announcement to make to our podcast audiences.
I'm sorry.
We have one announcement.
For our podcast audience, because these folks already know, Kathy and I are coming off the road soon. It's mainly because of Kathy's illness. It's too hard to find anymore. So we're buying a house here, the podcast, the website. We're still going to be involved with Living the RV Dream. And after we're in the house and buy some furniture, we're going to pick up another rig, a small one, and we'll still travel short trips. We just can't make the big West anymore. Might have to do it on an airplane. But anyway, we're still going to be with it.
Yes, we are.
So that's our thing. I don't know what's going on with this. Yes, I do. We got all the plugs in. There we go. This is normal. This happens. So will happen. So, right now, who would like to know something?
So, Maryland, and wow, like who knows your
Steve knows.
He is a gentleman that used to work for me at the radio station at 1220. I can't remember his name now.
I can't either.
But he does, that's his full-time job. He's got a studio at home and he does intros. And I asked him when we decided to do this, I said, can you put together a real nice intro? Well, the first intro, remember, it was like a minute and a half long. It had all kinds of sound drops and then several music beds. And I was, so it's been cut down for years. It's been since I've heard it. So
I've been using this for a long time.
Yeah. So, radio days when they were on the radio, it was a real lot longer than it is today. But,
Yeah.
It was a gentleman that used to work with me at the radio station. He put that all together for my mom and dad.
We were on live radio here for 17 weeks. Just to get the heck out of Florida because it was getting warm. And I learned about podcasting. And about a month later, Living Every Dream podcast was born. How long with just about 400 people listening? And all of a sudden it took off. So we're very, very pleased. We're downloading typically 16,000 to 18,000 a month now. Some months more, some months less. And couldn't be happier. Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, my, I had a question.
Hi, Bill from Waco, Texas. I just wondered over all these years, how many motorhomes you may have went through and how many miles?
We're in the same motorhome we bought when we started.
Yes.
It's a 2004 Fleetwood Expedition. 1,000 miles, 8,000. Not a lot of miles. It was out for a long time. But we've been cross country 5 times, south and east. Not Alaska.
No.
Yeah.
Checking the phones. That's good.
You know what, other than Alaska,
No.
I know you guys are really wanting to do. What places have you not been to that you really wanted to go to? Is there one spot on the continental 48 United States?
Yeah, Yosemite.
It keeps going by fire. I'm afraid you try to go again.
The first was on fire. The second time, videos. So you know the road going up is Woodchuck City. Okay. Well, we motored up that thing, right in our car. We got within 2 miles of 1,000 trails campground out there. So that was the end of that. And the third time, it was on fire again. So we wanted to go to Yosemite. Good question.
It's not on fire.
If you don't ask questions, I'm going to single something. You're not asking stuff.
Hi, Fred Lee from Queensbury, New York. My question is, what was your favorite place that you visited?
Go ahead.
We really love Glacier National Park. We find it to be one of the most beautiful parks in all the system. It's very peaceful and restful, and it's just, you can just enjoy life there. One of the best places we've been. We enjoy Yellowstone. There's so many people there that just when we went on vacation,
In Glacier National Park is one of the most fantastic works of engineering you'll ever see, and one of the most beautiful rides up the Logan Pass and back down the other side. Just a fantastic park. If you don't go to any other national parks, that one is key.
And then when you go up the side of the road, there's like a rest area about halfway up, and it has bathrooms and things like that. And, a lot of the hikers will park their car down at the bottom of the hill, and then they catch a bus that goes up. And this young couple, the bus came up and went right by him. So I was coming back from the restroom, and you guys need to ride up to the top because I have plenty of room in the car if you're willing. They said, oh, that's great. So they got in there, and this girl was the daughter of the maintenance supervisor for the going to the Summer Road. And she had all kinds of stories. And we drive around one corner. This is where this happened. And this is where that happened. And it was fabulous.
It was a tour you couldn't pay for.
Right. It was a personal tour. So we really enjoyed that. And we hit it the weekend at the flower blooming. Just hit it on the right time.
Well, let's see some hands out there. You've had all 2 days to think up stuff to ask us.
Hi guys, I'm Don from New Hampshire. My question is, how did you guys decide to get into RV?
Okay. The last one. Go ahead. We were researching RV, sort of. We weren't spending a lot of time on it. We're both working, and it sounded like a cool thing to do. And we'd get out beyond the interstate, and when these big rigs would come by, and say, someday that's us. So I did a little bit of research stuff. And I'm at the big house in Sarasota, on a golf course. It was extremely fun. And one day, you know, to this house, and I had to clean them all. Let's get to this house. It's fine. We sold the house about a week. The market. It's part of a brick. It We bought a very nice little condo, and 1 week after we closed on the condo, I lost my job. Wasn't that thing, I hated it. I was working for a company that moved production in Mexico. I had to move it all, they let me go. So I was free, and she paid up, she was it. Let's just do this RV thing. And we had to build a condo practically without trying. We got a letter in the mail from the lady that says, I want to bring my husband in the area here. He has Alzheimer's. It's perfect. You know, I want to pay cash. Real. I'm dying on the phone. And he was already in town. And she came over the next day and she this is the floor plan I had in mind. We arm wrestled over price for about 30 minutes. And he said, well, I'm going to gut both bathrooms. And change some other stuff and carpets and things. So you don't have to do anything. Give you 60 days.
30 days.
No, she said 60. I'm thinking, about 30. We're ready. At night, we're sitting at a table and said, we better go by the dark. We're going to be homeless here pretty soon. So off we went to late days. We found this great park in the very back of the gas lot up there. Salesmen do that when they are great park for somebody who hasn't put a deposit down on it. We had a brand new salesman who didn't even know that. So I put it in, I couldn't find it. We said, go over there and they had this, the first thing, I think it had been a 1 day around the country trip. And we later found it in a little bit of an accident. But we've been in and that's very, very well.
The other side is my brother. My brother calls me and goes, do you know what those two crazy people want to do now? And I said, no, what's going on? He goes, they sold their house and they want to do an RV. And I'm like, okay, what's the deal? He goes, no. They don't have a house anymore. We'll go get all. So we came down and go, they want us to get the furniture. They're going to move out. They're going to go on the road. They're travel all over the place. How are they going to do this? What about insurance? What if one of them gets hurt? You know, all these questions. And I go, what is going on? Right?
No, what you said, what you wanted to go to.
Well, 12 years has changed their life. I mean, my dad, who was a Navy guy, stern worker, I mean, such a hard worker, work, has totally changed into this amazing person. Not he was amazing before, but for his day, dealing with his mom, and just an incredible story that they have. 12 years, such an incredible story of everything that's going on. They've done everything.
Yeah, we're working harder now than we ever did. Another one over here. She's closer to you.
Yeah, this is Paul from Jacksonville.
Yes, Paul. We're on number 2.
We're on number 2, but we just bought that about 2 years ago. We had it. We had the and for 10 years. And we got when we started coming out, we were difficult to find vehicles you could tell plateau. So we decided we better turn it in. And that's the reason we gave up.
We used the Hyundai because it was paid for.
Right.
And it cost about $1,000 a month, but that's much better than a new car at that time, at least money in the RV. And we got 210,000 miles on the odometer, 55,000 crank in it. And it was still pretty good. But we knew we could get a 2014 CRV before they were all on. So that's what we did. And we love our CRV. Good question. The secrets of our success.
I like these ladies.
We communicate most of the time very well. When things are going good, when things are going bad, we communicate with each other. I mean, full-time, our game is not for everybody. I don't care if you've got a Prevost or a little tiny pop, it's still living in a home. And 24/7.
We have meet with each other every 3 months and set goals for ourselves, so that we are on the same page. And of course, having the podcast, people working together to get it, get the information, research things. So we're together a lot. It's been interesting. He was in the Navy for 20 years, so we got to see quite. During the business, we did a great deal of traveling. So when we started off, I wasn't used to having him around at all. You know, whatever I wanted, I had my own car, I had a beautiful home, he was gone, I could not get any time on it, go to the movies, go out with my girlfriends. And then I was like, ooh, I can't. Because number one, I feed him regularly. Are you kidding me? So, but you know, you just slowly adjust if there's an issue. Sit down and talk about it. Most of the time, it's not big enough to be count. It's an issue. You really just stop and think about it. I think it's too big. It's not solved.
Yeah. Good question. We know some folks that just can't make it out here and have because they're just at each other all the time. They need to be separated by several rooms. Yeah, or states, exactly.
Mike from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So looking back with 2020, and you're not looking at the answer starts.
No, that's not no, we didn't put near enough money down on the loan. So within 2 years, we were upside down and we're upside. So that was a big mistake that we made. And we had plenty of money. We could have put money in. But the first year, we started spending money like it was going to because we were in mode. We had this a while until we stopped in the year. We went through $20,000. How do we do that? Some of it was getting the rig ready and that sort of thing. House membership and some other stuff, but still a whole lot of cash. And been better off putting that money down on the motorhome.
And I think too, we did a lot of research, but we didn't do quite enough research. And back then, we didn't have the information that's out there to investigate being full-time RV. We only heard about it from some escaping folks that we did at the Tampa show. So I think that even our getting a lot of information, just make the decision and things that you need to think about. We hadn't thought, we didn't think about this. We didn't, oh, we're going to go to Mount Rushmore. That's going to be our first thing. And that became our, instead of, we're going to have to get this and we're going to have to get that and this has to be taken care of. And we need to learn how to do that. And so it's a learning curve that you take your time on. You take the time to learn everything that you can before you make the actual decision you thought. We had never owned a motor before this one.
Although we did have 2 Volkswagen campers.
That's true. We had those in Europe.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was like 5, my brother was 3, and it seemed like every Saturday my dad was home, we were out camping going somewhere. So they're,
World changing, game changing.
Well, it's been our pleasure because we knew so little and we didn't read. That's our website is what it is today. There's over 150 pages on that website with every aspect of RVing. I've updated it a bunch last year, a lot of technical stuff. And it's a research I wish I would have done before I got out here. But we made a choice on an RV. It's been great. We haven't had much trouble with it. But we knew so little and spent so much money.
The question is, you have a big memory from your work camping days, and something that stands out in charitable work that is supported with
Yeah. I mean, are you asking what
If there's something that stands out as a big thing.
We really enjoyed all our camping experiences. I think we enjoyed Benson, Arizona, when we worked at the RV Butterfield, okay. And because we had almost like a contract with them, we understood exactly what was expected of us and what we could expect from them. Then it's very relaxing and enjoying. We worked with some really wonderful people. I think working and investing in areas, you just work with some great people that are a lot of fun. You know, you get to know them well, they become friends.
I think the best volunteer gig we liked it so much we went back again was to the CP's headquarters, and they have in there a care center. And CARE stands for Continuing Assistance for Retired CPs. And they have 3 sites there. People go and most of them live out their life there. They are taken care of. They get 3 meals a day. They get people come in and clean their rig. The maintenance department pulls their tanks for them, replaces their propane, takes them to the store. It's a wonderful experience as volunteers. We had, and we were the volunteers at any given time. And we have 2 lifelong friends that we volunteered with from that. And we went back the following year with them. I have never scrubbed as many pots in my life as I did in that kitchen, because we had a cook, but we did all the cleanup and stuff. And on the weekends, the ladies did the cooking.
And let me tell you, we got married. John said, I don't do dishes and I don't do diapers, but he'd wash pots at the care center.
I did. That was, for me, that was the most satisfying volunteer thing that we've done. Although being in that shelter was a close second, the Red Cross shelter for Katrina.
Skip from Lincoln University, Pennsylvania. You've done a lot of travel. Where did you go that you had the most fun? And did you want to go back and do it again?
Almost everywhere.
That's true.
You get there and you plan to stay 2 weeks or something, and then you start talking to the campers around you, or you go to the local cafe and they go, oh, have you seen this yet? And you're going, no. And you got 2 days left and you've already got plans to see this and this. Almost everywhere we went, when we left, we said, oh, we got to come back here.
And very rarely did we.
Yes.
Except for the Black Hills of South Dakota. 4 summers up there.
I'm Steve from Albany, New York. I'm curious what changes in the RV industry you may have seen over the last 12 years since you've been on the road, maybe technology-wise, culture-wise,
Technology-wise, certainly the coaches coming out now have far more electronic systems in them, probably too much in some cases. They've gotten easier to use. Lots of electric stuff, electric dump valves. I never had one. Wish I had. Stuff like that. More powerful diesel engines. Ours is a 300 horsepower diesel, and it has trouble getting out of its own way going up some of those mountain passes. Most of the bigger diesels now are 400, 450. And you need that, especially if you're dragging a car behind you. That's a wonderful change. Certainly, we had a slide out, and they had some 3 slide out models. Then the 4 slide out models came. Now the full wall slide outs are here. That can be good, and that can be a curse in some ways. Those slide outs don't always work the way they're advertised, right, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
How about you? What do you think has changed?
I think the people have changed. We have a lot more weekend campers with a lot more, less knowledge of how to behave in a campground. And I find that irritating to me sometimes is, people just walk into your campground, your particular campsite. And, it used to be everybody read the rules and then followed the rules. And of course you did because you were part of the campground people. And I find that people are a little more rude than they used to be about it. A lot more crowded. When we travel, we very rarely make a reservation ahead of time, except the day we traveled around noon, we'd call ahead to see if there was availability. Now you can't do that hardly at all. You make reservations ahead of time.
With the huge increase in RV sales of every kind, people want to take those things out and use them. So campsites are harder to come by. RV parks, like this one, are taking away more and more RV sites and putting park models on them, converting those sites to year-round sites. That's that many sites less that we can call and say, have you got room for me tonight? I hope that the federal government can relax some of the restrictions that makes it so hard to open a new campground. Happens. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the changes we see are not positive ones. We see a lot more young families out here. We love to see that. We're very friendly with the folks at Full-Time Families. A wonderful organization. Those people know how to live on the road. They homeschool their kids. They're some of the most well-behaved, well-rounded kids I've ever met. It's incredible. And they get an education that nobody else would get traveling around this country. History to them is actually being there.
I think another thing that we've noticed a lot, especially from our listeners and on Facebook, the rigs don't seem to be built as well as they were. Almost everybody has huge checklists when they buy a brand new RV, and it's a little discouraging. Buy something like that and spend that big of money and still have a lot of problems with it. And so I think it changed. They used to not have that kind of problem, not that big of a problem. There's always a little something, but now it's an issue.
Roger from Kennesaw, Georgia. I've been working on the road professionally for over 40 years, but I've been RVing for 18 of those and have had some pretty interesting breakdown adventures.
I bet.
So what are your best ones?
Wow. Well, when we go to an escapade with the escapees, we've been to 5. We've got stuck in the mud and had to be towed out. That was an adventure. I guess the worst breakdown we had was motoring up that darned old hill to get to Yosemite. And our rig got put on a flatbed truck. And back down that thing with us in the car behind, watching everything we own going like this. And like that. That was very memorable.
I think that's the first time I really recognized that that's my home.
Yeah.
You know, you think, oh, I own an RV, da-da-da-da-da, but that's the first time it really hit me, that's my home, that's where I live, that's where my things are, that's my home, you know, and it's just on this truck weaving back and forth, it's a little disconcerting.
Yeah. Steve, will you take the mic back there to Mike McElhenney? Mike, stand up. For a word from our sponsor, Rad Power Bikes. And I can't think of anybody better suited to talk about Rad Power Bikes than the man that owns one and let a bunch of us test ride it. You that wanted to got a chance to, because that is a hoot. So tell us about your bike.
Yeah, so podcast with John and Kathy, John's been talking about, because I had sent him an email saying, hey, John, I just thought you'd like to know, I went and bought one of those Rad Power bikes, and I'm going to be coming to the gathering. And then ever since when after I sent him that email, almost at every podcast, John would mention how much he was looking forward to wanting to seeing it, and two, hopefully to be able to get a ride on it. And so we actually made that happen this week. The rest of you got to take a ride as well. So happy to do that, and we ought to have arrived since we did that. I think what night we did that was before the gathering actually started. We'll do it again, so maybe tomorrow or Saturday. Anybody who wants to take a ride?
Well, you can ride it down to the island and let people ride it down there.
Yeah, we'll
That'd be
do that. I think John had a good ride. He rode off and went around the corner, and then we didn't see him for quite a while. But then finally he did come around. I was a little worried maybe he had ridden out the back gate, and I would never see him go back again, but that didn't happen. He did come back.
I didn't lose any paint off of it
He
either.
didn't lose any paint, he didn't fall off. So all in all, it's a good test ride, right, John?
What kind of bike do you have?
So yeah, I bought the Rad Rover, and I'm relatively new to RVing, and it's my code. So to start off with, I'm not towing a vehicle, I have that Class A motorhome. And here in John and Kathy talk about the bike, I was thinking of buying a scooter. I just put on a rack on the back, and that would be my code. And my goal was to keep it simple. RVing, used to driving a 34-foot motorhome. I didn't really want to add a tow car right away onto that, so I thought I'd keep it simple. I was thinking about buying a scooter. And then I heard John start to talk about an electric bike and the range on an electric bike these days and the speed you can get out of it. And the carrying capacity, I can go and get groceries with it if I need to or make a run. So as I thought about it, and I could get some exercise on it, I can take it off the electric part and actually ride it around and get some exercise. It's cheaper than the scooter that I was looking at. So I thought, I think that's the right solution. So I went and I ordered one, and I'm glad I did. Right now it's only about 30-some miles on it, so I haven't ridden it very far. But I'm digging it, and I think it's going to work out well as my code. So that's my story.
That's awesome. And
So 15 miles of that, my dad did on the day. So you had started at 15, now it's got 30.
good time. There was a picture of me on the Facebook group, but I didn't have a smile on my face because I was just finishing up, and I'm thinking, I hope this thing stops like they say it's going to stop, and I hope I don't fall off when I do that. But it was fine.
And then he came home with his eyes about this big around.
And a big old grin.
And a great big grin. I got to ride the power bike, honey. That was really neat.
I think the most fun about watching the other guys do that is the wives had smiles on their faces too. So they liked it. Your wife was smiling. There might be a Rad Power bike in your future.
Yeah, your Christmas tree.
So if anyone's interested, it's Rad Power Bikes, RAD. Check them out. Wonderful folks to deal with up there. And I'm hoping that they're going to be at RV shows coming to you soon. I've been trying to talk them into that. So thank you very much. On with the show.
Cheryl from Fleming Island, Florida, and I want to thank you as well for all the inspiration that you've given us over the years. With your expertise in research, have you thought about what your next RV is going to be and starting to make any kind of decisions on that?
It'll be smaller. It'll certainly be much less than 40 feet long. Probably a Class C or a B plus, not sure. And sleep in comfortably and take a halfway decent shower without having to sit on the toilet and do it. So we have some definite ideas about it.
There is some criteria that has to be met.
Yeah.
We haven't really started looking yet. We're looking for the house first and get that taken care of and sell the rig and then start looking for the newer one.
Yeah. Jim, will you pan out there? I'm going to ask a question, and I know the answer. How many of you are full-time? How many of you are full-timers because of Kathy and I?
Liability insurance.
Yeah, get the lawyers. Last year it was even more. Thank you. I appreciate that. If we've helped you, we haven't led any of you astray. I haven't had any complaints. Oh, you told me this was so great and it's horrible. My wife and I are getting a divorce. That hasn't happened yet. I hope it does. But, I do appreciate the emails we get. Thank you so much. We love what you do. Love for us. I mean, we only started monetizing the podcast about 2 years ago. And at that point, the sponsors came to us. We weren't even looking for them. Bikes was dying to get in, but I was advertising another e-bike, and it just wouldn't be ethical to advertise one against the other. So they had to wait until that contract was up. But there are some weeks on Thursday. Later in the day, because you got to think, what are we going to talk about this week? I don't know. What do you think?
That's true.
So we come up with stuff most of the time. Sometimes it might sound a little awkward. That's usually because I haven't done enough homework for the show, but we try. It's still fun. So that's why we're going to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, it's fun to find out the information. You know, you're busy with things are changing so fast in the RV industry that it's good to get out there and start looking at what's happening and how it's going to affect your particular life and how you're living. So it's been great. We've enjoyed it, and we still enjoy it. Okay, we have a question?
Kathy and John, Jim and Jan Hollis from Marietta, Georgia. I just want to say on behalf of everyone, thank you so much for the wisdom and the blessings that you've been to us across these last 4 or 5 years. 400 of your podcasts, and including your radio shows that we were talking about. And we've got a lot of first timers here.
Yes, we do.
Some just started a few days ago.
Right.
And one of the things that we appreciated most before we went full time for a while was what you shared when you first get started as an RVer. Ask you, Kathy, to give one or two. Here's something to know as a new RVer, and John, you one or two of your wisdom about what things to really do, and none of the stuff with me was slow down.
Yes, yes. That's the biggest thing I think we learned on our first year out is we went way too fast. We were so excited. That's part of the problem. But if you're going to do this as a lifestyle, we've got lots of time. So plan carefully what you want to see, agree on it. Get in there. And these little towns that you pass through that have county, city park, or even a state park, and you get to know the folks that live in that particular community. And they mentioned so many things that you could go see, and you're busy because you're planning to you have to get somewhere. It's much more fun to just slow down, put your feet up, spend 2 or 3 weeks somewhere than to rush on.
Same vein. And we don't do this now as much as we did at the beginning. Don't use interstates if you can help it. Drive the red roads, and by red roads, the red roads on the paper map. We still use paper maps too. The U.S. highways. Most of them are 2 lanes, but they have nice shoulders. You see more interesting stuff and meet more interesting people than whizzing along at 65 miles an hour on the interstate and really not seeing much of this country other than that super slab out in front of you.
Yeah, and if you go down the highway, the farmers are in the field, they're waving at you.
Yeah.
Kids on the bikes, they wave at you. You go into a little town now and go, they're all thinking, hey, I'm going to, you can just see it in their eyes. That, wow, look at that, all of that. So,
I think since 2013, I'm sorry to say, the main advice I give newbies is buy our book. I know a lot of you have our book. Last year, the Rodriguez, Angel and Teresa Rodriguez, they bought each an ebook and a paper copy from us. And then they bought 5 or 6 more and sent them to all their friends. They were most of our revenue for a month, it seemed like. But, that's just like the website. Actually, the book came first, and then I built the website up from that. But it was the material that we wish we would have known in that book. What where to get your mail and all that stuff. But people say my family, like Steve's brother, thought we were living in a trailer park. And our family's against it. What do we do? And the advice we give people, you've got to live your own life. Don't let them live the life for you. Visit them whenever you want to, but you don't have to. You are free to travel about the country. Live it.
yeah, our son, Matt, who we're talking about, every time he called, I said, they're going to buy a house yet, and ready to stop. Every time he called, every week, Mom, you done? Where are you gonna live? You want to live over here? You can come and live at our house for a while till you find a place. He just did not like us being on the road at all.
Now, he wanted us to live in his house. He's got a 4-bedroom house, 2 kids, and 2 foreign exchange students. My granddaughter's girlfriends are there, and my grandson's boyfriends are there. Oh, here comes Steve on the e-bike. Well, that's a Mini. Whose is that?
How you doing, Kathy? Michael from Dunedin, Florida. How you doing?
Yeah, Mike Tischler.
How you doing?
Come on down here, Mike.
A little thing I want to read to you.
Mike was here last year and provided us with the most unusual grand prize we ever had.
Yes.
Some of you guys remember that fold-out picnic table. So you bought yourself a red Mini.
No, I didn't. You didn't. Let me give you this little presentation. You've educated so many on how to share the RV dream with us. You put in countless hours of your time on website to provide excellent research medium that's very concise and all in one place for anyone interested in RVing. With your weekly podcast, you have taken us with you across America, shared with us the do's and don'ts, the ahs and the ohs. We've laughed with you, we've cried with you. We're excited every week and anticipated to hear the next happenings of your adventure. 5 years now, you voluntarily poured out your hearts, sharing the RV lifestyle with tens of thousands of listeners each and every week across the world.
Yeah.
You have taught us to, and I quote, live your dreams now because tomorrow holds no guarantee.
That's true.
Even though we all couldn't be here physically, you once again include us all in this podcast as your RV family. On behalf of all of your RV family, we want to give a little back. Please accept this token of love and appreciation for all your hard work to make our lifestyle easier by applying the wisdom and experiences that you share with us. That red Mini is yours.
Wow. If you guys got this, yesterday. Wow.
I got this, and this is the reason why I wasn't at class tonight.
You knew about this?
Yeah, it got shipped to the house on Tuesday. I spent Tuesday. And I do want to say this, okay? This bike is the easiest bike to put together, bar none. My dad has put together many bikes for us on Christmas Eve. Remember those?
Yeah.
I put many bikes together for my kids. I kid you not, that bike right there is so easy to put together. I did have to watch the video once. But I watched it because I couldn't figure out how to put the headline on with that grill at the front. I was like, how does this work? But I watched the video. It's easy to do. This bike is very easy to put together. It took me about 20 minutes. Well, it took about an hour, but I had dinner in the middle there, and I came back out.
Now, come on. I know you wrote it. How did you like it?
No, I did not. That was the first time, because you know what? I knew you were going to say that. I'm not going to ride that bike. I'm going to look at the odometer. It probably says 0.1 from out to my truck into here, because I knew you'd say, okay, how much did you ride it? I didn't ride it.
I was hoping you would have.
Oh, I know I'll get to ride it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Also, I just want to let you know a couple of your accessories in crime. Nick Russell helped me get a hold of Steve and Beth so they could help with this. So he was also part in on it.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Thank you.
I knew Nick had a hand in this. He got with Jim live streaming this. You
wanted to read. I didn't.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So very much. And whoever was involved in this, thank you, thank you, thank you. We can't thank you.
This is going to be fun. I hope we don't have to go to the hospital because he runs over something.
Again.
And I've talked about this on the air many, many times. This one folds, and it's very, very easy for our viewers.
Right in the back seat of my truck.
Yeah, it folds pretty easily, and you can pack it inside your rig or in a compartment underneath. And I can't tell you how much.
I thought at our age we'd be excited about a bicycle.
Really?
It's like returning to your childhood.
Oh, man.
This is just, I'm overwhelmed. I just thought I'd just.
That is absolutely awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Now what do we do?
I don't know. Somebody got a question? I do.
You do? Oh, you do?
I do.
Yes.
I have a helmet. I have another bike. It's actually at his house. Now you've got another bike.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a helmet. Our chef.
I just have one question. Why aren't you writing now?
Well, I'm going to wait for daylight. I'm going to wait for daylight. I'm still kind of new at it.
Oh, that's just so amazing.
Okay, anyone else have, we've got, oh gosh, about 10 more minutes. You don't want me asking a question.
It's hard to ask.
I see one in the back, maybe two.
That's a good question after you get something like that.
I know.
Speechless.
I agree with you, that's very hard to top. But, over the years, besides in Florida, where have you gone and stayed the longest? And why did you stay?
Here,
South Dakota. She said besides
But
Florida.
not-
besides here, okay.
It was South Dakota. We fell in love with South Dakota. It was our first. We had read this book that talked about full timing, and the advice was every year to sit down and set a goal where you want to go, a route you want to take, and what you want to see along the way. So our goal was to go to South Dakota to see the Mount Rushmore. And so we went up and saw our son Matthew, who still thinks we're nuts, and took off across the.
We saw Steve too and his kids.
We stopped and with his kids and Steve, and went to South Dakota, and it just was so beautiful, amazing. And we found a park that was real reasonable for 4 days, you know, as long as you took a tour of it and everything. Your own channel, and they had wood camping jobs. And so we thought, oh, we thought it.
We didn't have anywhere else to go. We'd already met our goal for the
You know,
year.
the goal was just Mount Rushmore. So we went up and got hired as housekeeping. We cleaned
Toilets.
the bathrooms and the laundry room and the big one. And we found out more and more about what was around the area. Things. And so we decided the next year to even go back again because we hadn't seen hardly anything when we really found out.
And they
what's available.
invited us to come back.
And they hired us again, and so we came back and we really, really enjoyed our time there. I think that's one of our favorite places. It's just a beautiful part of this country.
I could live out there, maybe, but it gets really cold in the winter. They don't have a lot of snow out in Rapid City, but it does get plenty cold out there. So I said, if we live here, I'm going to have a four-wheel drive and a house with at least 2 fire conk and a stack of firewood up.
And a freezer, so we don't have to go out because we have everything we need.
Yeah.
So that's probably been that was our first trip, and I think it's really been our favorite trip, you know. It's that first time out, and it was just so nice.
Well, we had to go to South Dakota anyway because we became South Dakota residents. A day. Had to spend one night there, took care of the residency stuff in a couple of hours, hit the road, and off we went. And we were in Rapid City about 3 days later. And that first year was something else for me, especially. In 6 months, I went from a $100,000 job to cleaning toilets, and I loved it. Absolutely loved the lifestyle, and that's why we continued to do it. So, the only regret we have is that we really can't full-time anymore. We can't make the big Western swings. Logistics of Kathy's meds, but we're still going to be out here. We're still going to do the Tampa show in January. Come see us there. But we're still going to be out here.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about Mount Rushmore, the flag ceremony, because I think that's incredible.
Yeah, that blew me away. How many of you have been to Mount Rushmore? How many of you have been there in the evening for the evening ceremony? What they do is the park ranger will give a little talk, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and he'll call all the veterans down and onto the stage. It can be anywhere from 20 to 200 of them. It depends on who's there. The night that I went in, and I think there were about 40 of us, and there were Vietnam vets, there were a couple of World War II vets, one in a wheelchair, just ran the gamut to someone who was still in and was on leave. They do a flag ceremony where they take the flag down, fold it, and then each veteran is handed the flag, does an about face, salute, hand it off to the next guy.
And him and I almost got to do that. And we were up there, it was 4th of July weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And there had to be 200 people. Obviously, they couldn't pass the flag around 200 people.
Yeah.
If him and I were to do that,
I lost it anyway. I mean, I'm handing this off to a World War II vet in a wheelchair. He snapped a salute at me just like he was still in. Awesome stuff. That's what the country's about. So, and the 4th of July ceremony out there, we were there in 2006, the very last time they shot fireworks off the top of the mountain because the western pine beetle had decimated the forests now, and it's so dry they can't use the fireworks. That time they did a 2 solid hour fireworks show. And at the beginning of it, Ellsworth Air Force Base is out there, the home of the B-1B bomber. And they flew 3 B-1Bs, low and slow, over the mountain. I just kicked the afterburners on, it was just chilling. It was awesome. So, I love our country. Another question. question before I lose it. I got a little bit of time. 4 minutes.
Hello, my name is Jewel from Groveland, Florida. Native.
Hi, Joel.
You've told us a lot about your adventures in RV over the years and experiences that you've had, and with your wealth of information and your knowledge and your experience, what you foresee as the future in our country. Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's very tough for me because I try to keep negativity off this show. But there have been some recent articles written, and if the RV industry as a whole serious changes, it could be in deep trouble. Better quality. People are going to stop buying them because they can't stand the poor quality. Campsites, we have to have more campsites. They keep selling thousands, hundreds of thousands of rigs. Shrinking in this country rather than growing. If those things actually happen, I think the sky's the limit because everybody wants to do this. And especially weekend folks, weekend warriors, I love them because they want to keep this whole thing going. I love those guys. And they're out there weekend after weekend with their kids and their smoky fires, all that stuff. But that's what keeps it alive for the rest of us. I think the industry has gotten an earful recently. There are several lawsuits ongoing, which we never had before. So I think it's going to turn around. I have confidence that it will. Another part of the problem is journalists like me about the good stuff. We know there's bad things going on. One of my best friends is Greg Gerber. Anybody read Greg Gerber's stuff? A lot of you do. An 8-piece op-ed piece about the downfall of the RV industry, called it the death spiral within 20 years. I don't think it will because I think the industry is going to wake up. I really do. I can't tell you why I think that, but I do. I'm an eternal optimist, I guess. How about you, Kathy?
I see things going well. I think that people get discouraged because they buy a brand new rig and there's so much trouble with it, and they want to get out there and they want to do what they want to do, and they can't because there's something wrong with their rig, and they take it in and it doesn't get fixed, and that gets so discouraging. You think just park it. And once the industry realizes that they're going to have to bring up their quality on their rigs, and they also have to come up with ways to fix the ones they've already built and fix them the first time around, not the third or fourth time around. Once that comes into being, I think it's going to be just fabulous. I really do. Enjoy it. You know, like your rig, long night. So,
I know some of you, especially on the way here, have had some issues with your rigs, tire blowouts and things like that, but that's kind of part of the life. Now, we've been out here all these miles and never had a blowout, ever. I may be jinxing myself by saying that,
be careful.
but you know, we buy new tires when it's time. We're on our third set of tires, and so we try to follow the rules and do what we have to do. I have time for one more question. Make it a good one. You're quick, Steve.
I'm Raymond from Sullivan, Illinois. Talk about replacing the tires. Have you ever had to replace a tire because you wore it out?
No. I didn't wear it out. The weather did. I'm not sure I've hardly ever seen an RV tire that was worn out before it was replaced. We had cracks around the edge of every tire on our rig the first time we changed it. And those tires were the original tires. I can't remember the date codes that were on them, but I saw the cracks and, saw the handwriting on the tire there. They were original, and they could have sat in a warehouse for a couple of years before it even went on the rig. So a caution to anyone, especially if you're buying a brand new rig, check those date codes. that chassis could have been sitting out in the field for a year or two before they ever put a coach on it. So that's how old those tires are already, and you just bought it. 5 years, 6 years, it's time, no matter what that tread looks like. Have very heavy duty tread. It doesn't wear very well, it wears very well, actually. It's a huge safety concern for me. I have a question for you. Jim Hollis, I know you've listened to just about everything we've done, but how many of you, if anybody, has been with us from the beginning? Has anyone out here hear us? Yes, Steve, I know you were my producer. But we started the podcast in March or April of 2009, 390 shows ago. And I have talked to a couple of folks who've been with us from the very beginning in Tampa last year. And I was just wondering if anybody here was in that group. God bless you for sticking with us that long. And the people that buy our flash drives, everything we've ever recorded is on there. And if you can slog through over 400 hours of John and Kathy, you deserve a medal.
I don't think I could listen to you that long.
Yeah, you could.
We want to thank you all for being here, and we thank you so much for your questions. We appreciate it.
We do. Well, we're John and Kathy.
Living the RV dream.
Loving the RV lifestyle. God bless you, and go RVing.
That's cool right there. Come on now. That is cool.
We've been doing that same intro and outro years, or longer, I think.
The bike weighs about 30 pounds.
No, about double that.
Well, it didn't take me much, no, because it's smaller tires. This is a smaller one.